Hey guys, welcome back to my channel again. My name is Vance. In today's tutorial, I'll be sharing with you how I made this beautiful short bubu dress with pleated shoulder and a lapel. So if you're interested, let's get right into it. So for this tutorial, I'll be making use of these 2 yards of Mikado fabric. I folded it into 4, just the way you see me doing, just like this. So guys, the next thing I'm going to do is to roll out my shoulder line. So I'll go ahead right now to roll out my shoulder line. When I'm done rolling out my shoulder line, the next thing I'm going to do is to take my vertical measurement. I'll mark my half length, I'll mark my hip line, and then the full length of the gown. I use 34 inches for the full length of the gown. So guys, after marking out the full length of the gown, the next thing I'm going to do is to take how wide my bubu is going to be. That's the shoulder part. So for this part, that's where the shoulder will be. I'm going to use everything that the 2 yards has. So then I'll go ahead and cut out the length of the bubu gown, just the way you see me doing. So I went ahead to recheck the length of my bubu gown if it was still in place. So yes, it was. The next thing I'm going to do, guys, is to separate the part that I cut and my main fabric together. So this was when I separated it. So the next thing I'm going to do is to take my neck width. The neck width I use is 3.5. The front neck depth I used 9 inches. The back neck depth I used 1 inches. So I'll go ahead and use my French curve and give it a good curve at the neck part. That's my neck width and my neck depth. And then after which, guys, I'll go ahead from my front neck depth. I'll mark 1 inch from this point, the way you see me doing, down to the full length of our gown. Remember, there'll be a lapel at that part. That's the front part will have a lapel, just as it is on the thumbnail. So this was me measuring out the part that I need to fix my lapel in. So I used 1 inch for my spacing. So when I was done, I'll go ahead from that 1 inch, I'll connect it straight to the neck width, just the way you see me doing. So guys, after I was done with this, so guys, from my starting line, I came down by 1 inch. This 1 inch will serve as the shoulder slope. So I'll connect that 1 inch to my neck width. So this was me connecting the 1 inch to my neck width. So after I was done, the next thing I'm going to do is to determine how wide I want my sleeve to be. So from that 1 inch, I came down by 11 inches. Now this depends on what you want. You can come down by as many inches as you want, but I prefer 11 inches. So guys, from my half length, I marked my hip measurement divided by 4 plus 4.5 inches for allowance. Then I went to my hip line. I marked my hip measurement divided by 4 plus 4.5 inches allowance. So I marked it out here. On my full length, I did the same thing. My hip measurement divided by 4 plus 4.5 inches allowance. So when I was done, I connected it with my ruler straight to the armhole. That's my sleeve line, just the way you see me doing. So I use my free hand to give my sleeve a curve. Then I went ahead to use my French curve to straighten the line. At this point, you have to be careful because when you do not make the necessary lines here, it can start gathering at that point. So I went ahead to cut. So first of all, I'm cutting the back block first. that's the back part of the bubu first before I cut out the front part. So watch carefully how I'm cutting it. So when I was done cutting, guys, so I'll go ahead and cut out the excess at this point, the unwanted fabric that I do not need, so that both the back and front will be equal. So this was me cutting it out. The next thing I'm going to do is to separate both the front fabric and the back fabric, so that I can be able to cut out the front fabric. So this is me arranging it again, so I'll be able to cut out the front parts of our bubu dress. So this was when I was cutting it out. So when I'm done with this, I'll go ahead and use my chalk to indicate the back parts and the front part. So this part I'm marking is the back part. I'll do the same thing for the other one. So I've opened the back of my mikado, that's our bubu. I'll place the front, the right side facing right side, just like this. I'll place it together so that I can be able to sew it the shoulder to shoulder together. So are you seeing how I placed it? So I'll go ahead and sew the shoulder down by 1/2 inch, and I'll bring it back to show you how it looks. So this was when I was done sewing the shoulder to shoulder. I'll go ahead and take the length of where our lapel is going to sit. So this was me taking the length of where the lapel will sit. So at this point, guys, do not assume that there's no assumption at this point. You have to measure it to know how many inches you're going to cut. So in total, I got 80 inches for the length of my lapel. So guys, I'll go ahead and bring the leftover mikado fabric. I'll fold it just the way you see me doing, like this, and then I'll go ahead and mark out how many inches I'll be using for the width. So for the width of our lapel, I'm going to be using 5 inches for the width. So I'll go ahead and mark 5 inches all the way down to the leftover fabric, just the way you see me doing. So I'm going to mark 5 inches straight to the length. Remember, the length of this lapel is 80 inches. So I'll be using 2 of this. I'll be cutting out 2 of this fabric for the lapel, so that I'll be able to do joining, because the leftover fabric will not be enough for one piece, so I have to join. So this was me still marking out the 5 inches width. So when I'm done marking it out, I'll go ahead and cut it out. So after I'm done cutting it out, I'll go ahead and infuse it with my chantilly lace fabric. So this was when I infused it with my chantilly lace fabric. I went ahead to add my paper stay. So the next thing I'm going to do now is I'm going to fold this lapel into 2, just like this. I'll place it side by side, And then for where my neck is going to sit, I'll be using 14 inches for where my neck is going to sit. So I'll go ahead and mark out the 14 inches where I want my neck to sit. So this was me marking out the 14 inches. So I marked it out. Just watch what I'm doing. So after I finish marking it out, I'm going to go ahead and start marking 2.5 inch. I divided the width. Remember we used 5 inches. So when you divide 5 inches by 2, you get 2.5. So I'll go ahead and mark this 2.5 straight down to the full length of the lapel. So see how I'm marking 2.5 inches like that. This where I'm marking now is where I'm going to sew. So after marking this 2.5 inch, the reason for this mark is so it will guide you on how to sew it straight. If you don't mark this 2.5 or whatever width you used, you're not going to have a straight line. So I'll go ahead and sew it down. When I'm done, I'll show you how it looks. So this is it, guys. I've gone ahead to sew it down. Remember, I've also gone ahead to iron it. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and introduce my bubu dress. So that I'll start placing it on the bubu gown. So this is my bubu. What I'm going to do is I'm going to notch the midpoint of my neck width, just like this. I notch the midpoint of my neck. So that midpoint now will be facing the midpoint of my lapel. So you can see what I did, the midpoint facing the midpoint of my lapel. That's right side of my lapel is facing right side of my bubu gown. So I'll go ahead, after facing it right side, I'll go ahead and pin it down. So I'm going to pin this down all through. It's important that you pin down so that you're not going to make mistake. Pinning down your dresses will actually make you to avoid mistakes, to enable you to avoid mistakes. So it's important that you pin down your dresses when you are sewing. So I'm going to go ahead and pin it straight down to the full length of our bubu. So as you can see, guys, our bubu gown is taking shape already. I like the fact that I infused this lace, this chantilly lace on the lapel. It gave it another kind of beauty. So I think you should try this, really. So guys, when I was done pinning this other part, I'll go ahead and sew it down. So when I'm done sewing, guys, this is it. I've also gone ahead to pleat my shoulder. I'm sorry I did this off the camera, but I'm going to show you how I did it. So for my neck width, remember I used 3.5 inch for my neck width, and my shoulder is 7 inches. So it's from the 7 inches that I now pleated, and I use 1.5 for the pleats. That's for the shoulder pleat. For the length of the pleat for the back, I used 10 inches. Why for the front of the pleat, that's the front part of the pleat, I used 12 inches. So guys, that was what I did. I have gone ahead to add my pocket to it. For my pocket, I used 18 inches from the shoulder line down to the 18 inches. So I'll go ahead and hem my sleeve, and then I'll shape and show you how it looks like. So this was when I was done. This was when I was done shaping. I've also gone ahead to hem the down part. So this is the design I'll be using for the down part, guys. So this was it, guys. This is the final look. I added pearls to the lapel part. Thank you guys for watching my video to the end. Please do well to subscribe, like, share, and I'll see you in my next tutorial.